100 nautical miles, or 200 kilometers, is not a joke for anyone. I said, guys, it's a risky business. What's kitesurfing? For me, kitesurfing is a lifestyle. Kitesurfing is a close group of friends, and new adventures. Just looking at this kite crossing, you'll see a big group of friends reunited to embark on a new adventure. Let's count. How much is 7 plus 19? I dedicated 26 years of my life to windsurfing. Although these days I tend to be a lot more picky, trying to find the best places and weather conditions to ride the waves. And frankly speaking, I enjoyed Mauritius better than Hawaii. I believe it's important for us, humans, to be able to see things from a different perspective. We always tend to think of ourselves as these magnificent creatures that can conquer the world. But when you get out there and experience the real powers of nature, the wind and the waves of the ocean, your outlook and perspectives change immensely. Kitesurfing made me realize that I don't have to conquer these natural forces, but instead find a perfect balance between the wind, the waves, and myself, creating a harmonious relationship with nature, so to speak. I always learn something new about my personal character through these kinds of experiences. The first Mauritius-Reunion crossing took place in November of 2018, when a group of 9 Russian and Mauritian kiters competed in a 203-kilometer relay race. The original idea belongs to the famous kiter Konstantin Aksyonov, known for his fearless cross through the Bering Strait waters. There are multiple reasons why we are attempting to do it again. I personally have been looking forward to reliving the emotional experience when we set the record for the first time. We also wanted to get a better idea whether this kind of experience can become attainable for the majority of kitesurfing fans. In order to take part in the 200-kilometer race, all the participants were required to go through a physical training camp. The training sessions were based on a variety of tasks. We had to determine the skill level of all members to ensure their ability to perform certain tasks and maneuvers necessary during the crossing. For instance, snapping the kite on the ribs board. Team 2019 welcomed some new participants who got inspired by the success of the first crossing experience. Some newcomers were looking to test their abilities by this risky challenge, others trying to make some lifetime memories. In my head, I'm picturing a run-in with a mermaid, lots of sharks, turtles, and big waves. Not sure why, all I know is going to be fun.
So, this cross, I want to do it since long time.
This challenge gave me a chance to see the islands through the eyes of great pioneers like La Perouse and Vasco da Gama. This kind of experience, I always look forward to. This whole journey was a great way of testing my willpower and discovering my inner strengths.
When you ride, you see only ocean and the sky only, you know, there is no island, nothing. And yeah, This is really, I like it. It's much adrenaline.
Оставляя своего годовалого ребенка на берегу,
Leaving my 1-year-old child on the shore, I fully trusted our team leaders and professional instructors. This team is 100% ready. Great job, everyone! All the participants are going through passport control at the Cape Le Morne. A Mauritian border guard grants the seal of approval right on the beach in the back of his minivan. Meanwhile, the red-colored flag is being raised up on the beach, which signals everyone to refrain from all types of water activities. The channel access is also being shut down due to severe weather conditions, leaving the rescue boats no way out of the reef. The weather forecast is calling for gusty winds exceeding Beaufort Scale 5, forming waves up to 12 feet high. Since the start could not be postponed any longer, we took off, hoping for a calm after the storm of the past 3 days. We started off with 2 12-meter and 1 13-meter kites, accompanied by 2 windsurfs. The offshore wind was very weak, causing the kites to struggle staying up, while the ocean wind kept rising up to 15 meters per second. There's an old saying, when the wind is in the east, it is neither good for man nor beast. The intense storm even kept whales and dolphins from coming out on the surface. Huge waves made them stay in the deep waters of the ocean. Halfway through, a huge marlin suddenly jumped out next to the participants, flashing its fin and disappearing back inside the waters. Technically, the kiters weren't expected to keep up with the windsurfers, but the wind changed the whole perspective. The contestants had to go downwind, which is impossible to do on a windsurf. While the kiters kept in a straight line, the windsurfers had to zigzag, covering double the distance. Therefore, none of the windsurfers could make it to the finish line. The windsurfing legend, Mauritius-Reunion, did everything he could in an attempt to conquer most of the distance. However, coming closer to Reunion, the wind began to cease rapidly, making it impossible for him to keep going. He had no choice but to drop out of the race. Obviously, the wind let us all down, especially towards the end when it basically disappeared. Honestly, I probably could have kept trying for about an hour or so, then I would have had to quit. Chulgin's tracking device readings reviewed later on showed that he tacked through 180 kilometers within 6 hours. In other words, he was able to cover the entire distance in a given time frame. The kiters kept going, replacing each other. It's difficult to go downwind into the huge waves, therefore they had to constantly turn their kite loops to keep the kites up in the air. The famous Russian actor Ilya Glinikhov had to learn how to ride the directional kitesurfing board during the crossing. It's impossible to ride those waves on a kiteboard. The board kept getting lost in the chop. The actor had to figure out the kitesurfing techniques halfway through in the middle of a stormy ocean. At times, the athletes were separated by several kilometers in the ocean, which caused them to lose sight and connection between each other. At the end, everyone had reached Reunion safely, thanks to Konstantin Aksyonov, who managed to organize everything perfectly. The most difficult part of the crossing was when we could not see either one of the shores. Mauritius was already far behind, and the clouds kept Reunion out of sight for a long time. With only 50 kilometers left to the final destination, the high tops of Reunion's volcanoes still remained out of view. The thick fog was covering most of the island with 30 kilometers left to go, but about 10 more kilometers down the line, as the fog was finally clearing up, long-awaited Reunion appeared in all its beauty, like a mirage. It's like the scene out of a movie, where a lost sailing ship finally gets sight of dry land, and all the crew members start to cheer. The contestants were thrilled to be able to see the shore at last. It took 6 months of intense training sessions to prepare for this day. And after 10 hours and 17 minutes, this adventure of a lifetime, full of excitement and courage, was coming to its happy ending. The athletes packed up their kites, boarded the Zodiac, and left for the port.
В жизни много событий бывает разных.
Life is made up of all kinds of experiences, big and small. Some of them we love and cherish, but others become a distant memory. This experience, however, is engraved in my memory for a lifetime. All the drive, the adrenaline, I will never forget those emotions.
Это было незабываемое впечатление, когда
For me, personally, it's an emotional roller coaster. But at the end of the day, I'm so excited and proud of myself for being able to follow through. I will cherish these memories for the rest of my life.
Donc ça a été une opportunité pour moi, je me suis senti bien.
I felt very pleasant personal emotions, and I'm proud of our superb team and the distance we crossed. I am very happy to have done it.
Атмосфера, в общем, очень крутая. Прям
For me, the atmosphere is really extreme. The waves were so powerful I couldn't catch a break. There were moments when I completely lost sight of the motorboats. Fortunately, the kites guided me through.
В этом году переход выдался
This year's
сложнее.
crossing was a lot more intense. The wind was stronger and gustier, and the waves were higher. In general, it was more difficult for people to handle the distance. We did it! I'm still trying to piece it all back together as I still feel those sky-high waves beneath me. To go against the storm, to then become one with the storm. It's a triumph.